admit all, I think. How are we doing? Hello, hello, hello. Who have we got here? Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As your webcams are warming up, there's Helen. Hello, Helen. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Splendid. And there's Vicky. Hello, Vicky. Welcome. Hannah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How nice to see you.
It's really nice to see you too.
Good, 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 good. Are you all keeping well in this weird time with COVID and goodness knows what?
Oh no, we will be muted, but I don't know if they can see us. Yeah. Are you in?
So we've got loads of people joining us today. Welcome, welcome. We have got Helen Sheppard in the top of the picture here. So how are you, Helen?
Good, very good.
Yeah.
In my little hut in the garden, yeah.
Good, good, good.
The words that are written on there, the letters, they're the wrong way round on this, aren't they?
We need to turn them off.
What are they supposed to say?
Hut. H-U-T.
Oh, they do say hut.
Can you see hut?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I look at myself, they don't say hut. It's funny. Flip.
Right. Good, good, good. Now I'm just making sure I've got all the settings right before we start. It seems a bit quiet, but Helen, for me. Your vocal, it might just be, oh, there we go. It's actually that. Okay.
Not me.
Yeah, no, that's me. I'm just playing around with some settings. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Put your cameras on. Come on, don't be shy. There's only like half of you got your cameras on. There's loads of people here. And only a few of you. That's better.
Oh
That's better. Look at all your lovely faces. This is what we've missed it, haven't we? Actually seeing other people in this.
Yes.
In this weird time. So yeah, welcome to our little question and answer session then here today. We are very, very lucky to be joined by Helen Sheppard. Let me just build her up. 30 years in the industry, working on channels such as BBC, CBBC's, ITV, Amazon Prime, 7 BAFTA nominations, won a BAFTA. I don't know how many RTAs and RT Doodars and goodness knows what else, but it's Helen Sheppard, everybody. Let's give her a massive virtual round of applause. Yay!
Woo! Yay!
How lucky are we to have you with us here today? Thank you so much for joining us. Let's just, everything's going good there. So really, guys, what's going to happen today is I'm going to just have a few questions with Helen, if that's okay, just to sort of get us started. And then I'm going to open it up to the floor. We've actually already got a few email questions and direct message questions and stuff like that. Now, what I do is I mute everybody because otherwise we get like loads of people talking and it's bedlam, bedlam, bedlam. So everybody's muted. And then what will happen is when it comes to the questions and answers, there's a number of ways. You can put it in the chat, which is just to the side there, or you can go down to reactions and wave or put your hand up or do something really virtually funky like that. And then we'll get round to answering it all as well. Yeah, I'm right down with the tech. It's pretty scary, really. It really is. But so that's Helen. My name's Brian, by the way. If you haven't met me or worked with me before, I do recognise there's Ruth again. Ruth's back. Hi, yeah, nice to see you back. And Vicky, hi, Vicky. If I do know you and I'm not mentioning your name, I'm so sorry. But there's just I don't know how many people are here already. There's hundreds. We've got 53 at the moment. So I've got pages of people to scroll through. So hello everybody, everybody's welcome. So my name's Brian. I run TV Training Academy. We're not running anything at the moment apart from these virtual bits and pieces, so we'll see when all that's back up and running. But when we are, we do TV training courses and presenter training and vlogging and all that sort of malarkey. But let's get on with it and find out, first of all, how many people here actually want to be a TV presenter for children's TV. Just give us a wave, just so we've got an idea. So most of you, anybody got ideas putting a program together on, oh, there's a thumbs up. You've got programs that you want to produce and good ideas. Yep. And maybe put some stuff up on YouTube to start. Is that the place to do it? I don't know, but somebody who does know, Helen is here, and we shall be asking Helen. So the first thing, though, Helen, is what I wanted to ask you was, what would you say is the main difference then when it comes to presenting on a children's show and presenting on an adult show? Because I've got the feeling that a lot of people think that when you're talking to children, you have to do that sort of thing. And it can't be right, can it?
No, it's not right. Obviously, children are quite clever. They're quite canny. And I don't know if you've ever had it, but they're very honest as well. So if you're ever talking to a child, they will tell you that your hair looks a mess, that what you're wearing isn't really very nice. They're kind of very direct and they're very honest. So I think if any of you have been told the phrase, be yourself, you've really got to be yourself. You've got to be as much of yourself and kind of honest about who you are. And that's really important. So there's no pretending, just be yourself, be natural. And don't talk down to them. You don't need to suddenly go into a high-pitched voice to talk to children. They don't really like that. And you don't need to sort of bend over them or anything to relate to children. You are really the friend next door, and that means any age. So if you're whatever age you are, you represent a kind of friend or a mentor or somebody that they can know. Whether you sort of represent a kind of more granny figure, or you're the friend next door, or you're an auntie type figure, but that's what they'll see you as, just someone they like. Very refreshing and honest, and that's what I like about children.
Yeah, because it's kind of like they, you know, we're all really good at like reading body language and seeing if somebody's fake and seeing if somebody's putting it on or trying too hard. But as you say, the children are really honest with that, and. Yeah. And actually, they're not wanting a teacher as such. They don't want, and they actually want some sort of connection with somebody who is a little bit older, maybe. Yeah. Maybe they are an adult, but it's kind of like a friend sort of adult in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because what parents, I mean, parents are there to do what parents do, and so often somebody else can help your child with a certain thing more than you can. So as a parent, you've got to sort of do all the discipline, the hard things, the drudgery, but actually it's really good for them to have other mentors. And that's how I see all the people that are on children's television as other mentors, other people they can look to for advice, ideas. That's what you probably would become as a children's presenter.
Mm-hmm. But having said that as well, there are some differences in as much as we generally wear or have a lot more colours. We probably have to keep the pace going a bit quicker, do we? If their attention span isn't that necessarily of an adult? Yeah,
I think when you're presenting, you've got to think about the age you're presenting to. So if it's a young child, they love repetition. I don't know, again, if you've ever played with children and they just go again, and you end up playing the same game again and again and again. So that's younger children. As you're older, they need more. It can be a bit faster paced. You can throw more at them because they want lots of stuff. They're sponges. They can absorb it. And so, yeah, there is a difference. It is a more colourful world, I would say, generally. More colour is used, whether you're in CBeebies or you're in CBBC, younger or older, because particularly with younger children, colour is really important. Colour, there's been all sorts of colour studies in children, and they do love colour. In fact, actually, babies like black and white or see black and white better, but that's another thing entirely. So yeah, I think the biggest difference, if we talk about differences, is your tone and the language you use. So it's about how you adapt your language to explain something. A good example is how I've forgotten his name, but he is doing all the stuff from home on Newsround at the moment, and he is trying to explain this weird time we live in a way that children will feel safe, not frightened, but understand it and be able to deal with it. And I think the Newsround team are doing a really good job at the moment, I hope, but I think they are.
Yeah. So with the colours, I'd probably be all right in my hippie sort of shirt here.
Yeah, Brian, yes, definitely.
If anybody has sort of worked with me before, I have gone into a hippie. I've become a hippie. My hair is getting long, and do you know what? Peace, love, come on.
what lockdown does to you.
Yeah, I know. We're losing it a little bit, aren't we? But going back to, that being yourself, and, kids are very good at picking up on that. There is the other side of it as well, in as much as there's like character actors. So sometimes you are a character, like a character in a pantomime almost, but as a presenter as well sometimes. How does that work? Is that more of an acting role?
It is. A lot of people come into children's as actors and performers. They do a bit of presenting. So if I was to take a programme that I've just been working on, Swashbuckle, we have Jem, who is the main presenter, and we have 3 pirates, the captain and the other 2 pirates, who are definitely actors. And they sing. Jenny comes from, Jenny Dale, who plays Captain, comes from musical theatre. She is an incredible singer. So there is a mixture of that. And even I would say on big shows like Crackerjack and Sam and Mark's Friday White, is it the wind-up thing they do? All those things. There's an element of performance that goes into their presenting style as well. It isn't, it's sort of crossing over for them when they do things like that. Because
there is an element of performance in presenting anyway, and it's you. As we know, and we've spoke about this before, is just having that extra little bit of energy, enthusiasm, and actually look interested in what you're talking about, because if you don't look interested, nobody's going to be interested. So there is that anyway. Is that enhanced more so in children's presenting, or can you just go over the top if it's not a character?
I think it depends on the show and the sort of volume of the show. So if you're talking about a big live show, like in terms of CBeebies, it's Justin's House, it's shot as live. If you're talking about Crackerjack or something like that, they are enhanced performance. So there's a hyped energy because you've got an audience in there, and you've got to G up your audience as much as you've got to present. If you're doing something, on Blue Peter, that's more of a sensitive thing, then the performance level is right down, because you're doing interviews, you're talking about things. So there's a slightly lower level. So you've got to adapt to the situation and the type of program it is, because children's does cover the whole of, adult television covers the whole gamut, but in children's we have to do all of that: documentary, news, light entertainment. It's all in there in children's, in a sort of microcosm of the real bigger television world. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. So when it comes to actually choosing people for children's television programs, sometimes if we're new to the industry, it can look like it's, that looks easy. They're not really doing anything. They're having some fun and they're chatting. It looks very glamorous, but you've already mentioned being adaptable, being able to change and work around stuff. But how important is it to actually just have a real professional focus and be able to turn up on set and know what you're doing if you've got scripts and agendas and things that you've had to learn? Or are we all a little bit sort of like, we'll sort it out one way or the other when you get here, don't worry about it. Yeah, go out to the pub, it's fine.
There's a very, on children's, and it's changed obviously through the vast amount of years I've been doing this, it's changed a huge amount, from when I used to make 5 programs over 3 months, it's now, can you make, 60 in 3 weeks? That's an exaggeration, but so there's a massive change in the amount volume that we have to get through. And that means from a presenter or a performer's point of view, they have a lot to learn very quickly in that tight turnaround. And it's not just about learning it. So every show without fail I work on, scripts take weeks to come up with them, to be adapted, to be changed. When you go through that rehearsal process, whether it's a proper long rehearsal process or a sort of rehearse record, presenters are always going, no, can I say this? Can we do that? There's always adapting as we go. And in order to achieve that tight turnaround and that ability to adapt to the script, change it, learn it at the last minute, you've got to be so focused and so on it. It's so important. And if somebody, a lot of presenters, and I say this for adult children as well, they start out, they're keen, they're excited, they do everything, they learn it. And you do see sometimes, not with everyone, you do see that slip. and you do see people try and busk it. And unfortunately, that's when no one wants to work with them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to keep that focus. If you have been out, you know, for a big drink the night before, or you've not looked after yourself health-wise, you will struggle with that turnaround, because it doesn't just stop for you. It just is relentless in terms of making the programs.
Yeah, so it's absolutely not the easy option at all. No. So really, I mean, this was one of the sayings that I like is the best way to get ready is to be ready. So really, you know, if you're wanting to go into an environment where you are expected to be able to deliver scripts quickly, remember stuff quickly, then you should be practicing that art form, that skill now.
Yes, and I can give you a very good example of this, because when this crisis came about, I was filming Swashbuckle in Scotland, and on one Sunday night I got a call saying the children who are going to be in it can't be in it and there's no audience. So we went, right, well, what can we do? Because we have a whole day to fill a very expensive studio time. And we said, right, well, there were little sketches, these sort of 1-minute sketches that we could do called Slopping Outs, if any of you have heard of this program. And so that day we had to record 17 of that sketches. 4 members of the cast had never seen any of those scripts. I mean, they'd not learnt them. They'd seen the scripts, but they hadn't gone through them or rehearsed them. So they had to relentlessly that day record all those things. I mean, at the end, I think halfway through the afternoon, I said, I can't do any more, let's do a song. But it's that sort of thing that you have to, at any point, something can happen, a pandemic can happen, and you have to change direction and be ready to be adaptable, to learn, to change whatever plans were in place.
Yeah.
That's really important.
And the more you learn scripts, and I'm sure, how many actors have we got here? People actors here, gives a wave. So loads of actors. You guys already know, the more you learn scripts, the sort of easier it becomes. You know, remember the first time you pick up a massive script and it's like, oh my goodness, and it takes ages. And actually, I've known people who you used to get their pantomime script each year and just go, oh right, and in a couple of days they'd have it. Because, you know, it was all different, but it was kind of the same in a way. But that's just from repetition. That's just your mind is in tune with that. And I think that preparation is so important, rather than sort of waiting until the audition comes up, turning up for an audition or a screen test, and then just hoping you're going to be able to perform. Surely, you know, if you're passionate and driven for this, you should be learning stuff now, writing, just getting the brain in that sort of doodah. I think that's the technical word.
The doodah.
Yeah, the doodah. So, unlike my brain isn't totally out the doodah. So let's move on just a little bit. I'm going to open it up to the guys in a moment. If anybody's got any questions, you can start typing them in group chat if you wish. But when it comes to starting out, actually, this was a question. This was a question from Hannah that she emailed in. What, apart from getting an agent, how can you get yourself seen? How can you get yourself in front of the right people?
Right.
It's a big question, isn't it?
It's a big question. It's a lot of hard work, really. And I think what you've got to do is be in it for the long term. I say long term, you know, don't just think within a couple of weeks, if I haven't got any auditions then, or I haven't got in front of somebody. For me, it's a long process, and I guess it's the process I did when I started. First of all, you have to know the industry. So you have to know everyone in the industry. You have to know, you have to know who are the production companies that make the programs, who in the BBC are the people that make the programs, what are the programs. Sadly, whether you have to sort of watch the programs to think which ones would I be suitable for, where would I fit? And that isn't just CBBC and CBeebies, that's Nickelodeon, that's anything online like, what is it called? Wild Brain is another company that does it. TrueTube is another children's channel. Disney's doing stuff, Sky's doing stuff, Netflix is making stuff. You've got to absolutely know what's being made. And I always say this, I probably have said it to some of the people here, that there is an organisation called the Children's Media Foundation that run a conference called the Children's Media Conference, CMC. It happens in Sheffield every year. Unfortunately, it's not happening this year, but there are lots of webinars and things going on. And I think Cheryl Taylor, who is the head of commissioning in in children's in the BBC, is doing a massive session coming up, as far as I know. So if you can sign yourself up for that newsletter, first of all, so you're part of the children's media fan, seeing what's going on. Once you start to understand who's making what and who's doing what, then you can start to think, where do I fit? Where would I fit in this whole children's thing? Am I more of a performer? Is that the way forward for me? Am I more of a presenter? Is that the way forward? And then you've got to start putting together either a show reel. I'm sure many of you've got a show reel, am I right? Some nodding, yeah. So get a good show reel, not too flashy or anything, just a good short show reel that represents you. Or and start making your own content, particularly those of you that mentioned that you've got ideas. Start making your own content. And I always say this: look at YouTube, see what's out there, don't do the same. Do something different, put your unique slant on it. Once you've got a show reel and you've got content and you know who's out there in the industry, then you've got to start approaching them. You've got to start putting yourself out there and saying, here I am, I'm interesting, I'm this, and approaching those people I mean, I think Brian might have told you some of this before, with letters. Write them letters, or call the production company and say, how do you select presenters? Because it is a bit of a dark art of where they're going to put an audition up. Sometimes it's through Spotlight. Sometimes it's just on some random Facebook group, like I think there's one called Film and TV Casting, and they suddenly have a random thing where they put presenter wanted. So it's keeping your eye on all of these things. I mean, it's quite a long answer. I could go on for ages. I won't keep talking. But the biggest things are know the industry and know who's making what. It's not a massive lot of people, so it shouldn't take you too long to start to know who these people are. And I've also said this to several people. There's a thing called the BFI Young Audiences Fund that are starting to give money to develop new ideas. Have a look at that, particularly if you're an ideas person, and look at what ideas they've just given some money for. Those ideas might never actually come to fruition fully, but they are development ideas. They're giving money to develop them. So it's a good thing to have a look at, to see, right, what are they making? Are they making anything that I'd be suitable for? And you'll again see a whole other load of companies that are putting in these commissions. And indeed, you might find, well, I could apply to the BFI Young Audiences Fund to develop something that I'm working on. And you'll start to get a sense. But, I won't go on forever, but that's kind of the biggest key things for me. Does that make sense, Brian?
Yeah, it does. And there's loads of stuff you can be doing, but I think just absorb yourself in the industry. If you're sat there thinking, right, there's Blue Peter or CBBCs, then you're not really putting in the time, effort, research that is required to make a career out of this sort of job. Helen, I've just noticed, is that the BAFTA behind you?
Do you know what? I think you mentioned earlier, so I did. It is there. It is there.
Bring it. Let's have a look. I always say this, but Helen and I have been working together.
This for Brian. I did this by very heavy, but there it is.
Oh, look at that! Yes, that's the money shot, isn't it? No, Helen and I have been working together for many, many years now, and up until 2 years ago, I guess it was, she'd got 7 BAFTA nominations, and then a couple of years working with me.
Yes, forget it.
So, taking the credit because I've got nothing at all. Not a thing. Okay.
Charm and charisma.
That's right. Charm and charisma. Splendid. Just another question before I go to the floor and take your questions, your hand raises and things like that. Can you be too old? Can you be too old to be a TV presenter for children?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it depends on what the program is. I mean, I would say it's probably easier if you come into it from a sort of performance side of things. Like Bernard Cribbins has just done Old Jack's Boat is a program with Bernard Cribbins. He's very old. And there are other, they devise whole programs. I think there was Grandad in My Pocket. There's lots of programs it depends on the program. And I also think that stargazing is another one that they use a variety of people in, and I think it depends what the program is, and I think there's plenty of opportunity if you, as some people had ideas, if you've got an idea and that involves an older person or you're older, then I think that's they'd be interested in that. I don't think there's a thing of, oh, we only have young people. I guess the only caveat to that is I'd say if you wanted to be in CBeebies presentation or indeed CBBC presentation, I would say in those places they tend to use younger people. Mm-hmm. If I'm honest, they've never said they deliberately do. They could suddenly put someone older in. I don't know, but in other areas, I think they're very open to anybody really. Yeah. Of any age. So I don't really think that's the case. It does depend upon the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Just another one quickly from Daisy there saying about show reels, and in terms of children's TV presenter show reels, what do you say about actually, is it important to be doing something, to be making, they call it a make and do, I guess, but do people want to see that, or should we just all be barking down the barrel?
You can bark down the barrel. I think you can be creative. I don't think you necessarily need to be making something in a sort of counter-based scenario. I think you can be making something outside. You could be making some massive great art sculpture. You could be, because I think, I'm not sure where they are, but they still haven't got an arts program properly set up, certainly on CBeebies. I don't think they haven't, they're sort of working on that. But I think you can be, again, it's looking at what other people are doing and just don't do it. I don't think even Blue Peter necessarily makes things on a counter anymore. So you could be doing some mad scientific experiment outside or in your kitchen. I think as long as it's creative and a bit different, then you can do something like that. But you do need to do, obviously, something simple down that barrel, so that they can see what you're like talking to camera. That is very definite, something simple. They want to know who you are, what you're about. Yeah.
How long do you reckon a showreel should be, Helen?
Oh, the first 10 seconds need to be good. And I guess a minute, 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes is the plenty. Yeah. No longer than that. No longer definitely than that. Absolutely. But keep it all in that first minute. Certainly, that's really good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is ask anybody who has a question, either give me a wave or put the thummy little doodah reaction-y thing. So we've got Shaz there, who's got a thummy little reaction-y thing.
Hey.
Shaz, how you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm not on camera, guys. I'm just a bit camera shy at the moment. I know it's so silly because I want to be in this industry. It's just right now, just doing a couple of courses, so don't look the best, so excuse me.
Don't worry, look at me, I'm hippie man.
So my question was it's actually for both of you. I think you can both answer. So I sent it separately, but I'll say it again. If there was something you could change to improve the children's entertainment industry, what would it be?
Shall I go?
Yeah, please do.
I tell you what I would change. Forever, I think on screen has been fairly diverse. I know that I've been called out before because I've been too diverse when I did a program called Numberjacks and I had children on it. What I'd like to see is the production team behind programs, particularly in children's, be more diverse, and that I think would reflect stuff and content as well within the industry. That would be my biggest thing I'd like to be able to train up. What happens in children's as a director is I'm there aren't many people like me who can do the multi-camera in children's, and I'd like to train some people up who were, and I'd like that to be a more diverse mix of people. I'm one of the few women left for interested doing multi-camera that have children, because a lot of people give up when they have young children. So as a start, I'd like to see kind of more women doing that kind of thing. But that would be my biggest thing. I won't go on anymore.
How about you? Oh, there she's got a camera on.
Yeah, I came on for 2 split seconds.
Hey.
I think that's such a lovely response, because I was previously a committee member for the Actors Union BEC2, and I do actually think that diversity is so important, because like it just opens up the floor for a lot of different types of programs. It can just bring up a lot of culture. You get a lot of like different people, so I think that's a great response. Thank you so much for that.
That's all right. I'm hoping it happens.
Fingers crossed. God bless. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Okay, who else has got a question for Helen? Was that Isabel waving? Yeah. Hi,
sorry.
Isabel, how are you doing?
Oh, hello. Hi, Helen and Brian and Gemma. I think other people asked questions first, so I'm sorry if I'm jumping in. But I was just a quick one. What do you think? I suppose self-tapes are going to become much more prevalent in the upcoming months and going forwards with COVID. What do you think, Helen, makes a good self-tape audition tape, and what makes the presenter stand out to you?
Right, so if it's a self-tape, presumably you're talking about something you've been asked to do?
No, just sort of theoretically.
Oh, right, because there's a big difference, because if you're doing a show reel, that's one thing. If you're doing a self-tape, often it's what you've been asked to do. So just on the I'll do two things. One, if you're asked to do anything, so if there's an audition and on it it's written specific instructions and what you're to do, stick to those instructions to the letter. So if they're only asking for like 15 seconds, only do 15 seconds or whatever. That's just important to really look at what they've asked you. As far as the show reel, what I just want to see you. I want to see the person. I mean, inevitably, when you look at people's show reels, if you're just looking at it without a program in mind, you'll be just thinking, do I like this person? Do they seem warm, friendly, all those kind of things? And is there anything unusual maybe on it that I haven't seen before? But often you're not looking at a show reel just like that. You're looking at it sometimes because you've got something in your head. So you'll be comparing, oh, could this person fit with this? So I guess what I'm saying, the difficulty is in your show reel, you've just got to be true to you and what makes you tick. Because at the end of the day, you might not fit the bill of what I want, but it doesn't mean you're bad. And it doesn't mean you're not worth, you shouldn't continue. It just means you're not quite right for the thing. You've only got to do enough to entice those producers in to get you in for an audition. So it's the warm likability, energy, something a little bit different maybe to other people.
Okay, fab.
I hope that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think? Sorry, if I can just ask, just to go back to the self-tapes. Do you believe that they'll be becoming more and more popular in the current climate?
In fact, I had this conversation with 3 producers from the BBC only the other night, and it is definitely going to become more popular. I mean, it's pretty popular in anyone who's an actor. It's pretty popular in the acting industry anyway, because for this sheer reason, and I'm sorry if I'm saying something you already know, for the sheer reason that to get a rehearsal room, to book and pay for a rehearsal room, for people to come to an audition is expensive. So you might as well get self-tapes and then pick the people you really want to see. So yeah, I do think it's going to become more popular. Sort of, there was one a performer on there too on the call, and she said she's quite sad about that because she thrives in a performance in a room. But yeah, sad.
Just on that, thanks Isabel, thanks for those questions. Just on that note as well, if you are new to self-shooting at home, or you have been doing it and it's a pain, there's a page on our website, tvtrainingacademy.com, which is equipment for self-shooting. Now, there's 2 PDF downloads on there with all the common mistakes people make about when it comes to self-shooting. So, you know, like having a window behind you and we can't see your face, and just silly little things like that that we often don't think of because we're not technical camera people, we're performers. So if you get a chance, go to TV Training Academy. In fact, I wonder if we can put a link up in the chat box. It's probably going to pop up in a moment, to the equipment. And then all the equipment that we use and things like microphones are so important. People forget how important a good microphone is. We get away with a grainy little shot sometimes, but if it's a really bad, tinny, echoey, squeaky, horrible, crackly sound, then we don't, it just looks bad. So if you're going to invest in anything, I would say, well, possibly a tripod and a microphone. But there's all sorts of equipment on that page as well that you can look at so that you've got an idea of the sort of stuff you're looking at. You can just go along there. And while I'm talking about the website, while you're there, we've got a members area. Oh, yes, we have, where you'll find all the links and stuff for these sort of things. And we've got loads of live events coming up, and we're talking to various people, just like Helen. So go and join the members area as well. It's free. You're welcome. It's my gift to the world. Okay, where are we up to? Oh, there we go. Faye. Sorry, if I pronounced your name wrong, I do apologize. How you doing?
It's okay. Hi, how are you? It's Faye.
Faye, nice to see you.
Yes, it is. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So I was going to ask Helen, do you think that there's more space for sort of like cooking style shows for children? I'm a I'm a trained chef, and just trying to figure out whether there was more space for cooking style shows for kids or older children.
I think there probably is. I'm trying to think, because at the moment what they do is they do a junior bake-off. That's what, I mean, that's only seasonal. I'm actually trying to think in my head if there is a cooking show out there at the moment. And not there
used to be like Ready Steady Cook, and then Big Cook, Little Cook. I've got kids, so I'm lucky enough to watch a lot of children's.
Yeah, no, it's good. Cook, I don't think they're making it at the moment, are they?
Yeah.
So yeah,
No.
I mean, there is. There certainly is. Again, have a little look across the board, because again, Sky is commissioning a very few things, but it has just appointed 2 new people to kind of take on the kids area. So it's worth looking at them, it's worth looking at the other. You see, companies might be interested in developing a show like that. Look at what's going on. The people that did Big Cook, Little Cook, Dot to Dot Productions, who I think are based in Bristol.
Okay.
You know, if you can find them, they might be worth talking to see if it, because they might want to do another one. They might want to update and do something else. That's why I think, again, that ties in with this whole know who everybody is.
Yeah.
So you could start to approach them with an idea. It's quite good if you've got an idea for something like that.
Yeah.
To give yourself a format, because they love formats.
I know.
You know the format thing.
Yeah.
You know, everything has a format, so they can do several series. And partly the reason that is because when you come to shoot something, you've got to cost it out to how expensive it's going to be, and you have to work out, well, how much is in a studio, how much is on location, how much. And so that's why they like a format. So if you could come up with a format for it, you know, that worked and was workable, whether that's in a studio or whether you want to do something, you say, we're going to do cooking in my own home. So it was a program that was cooking from your home. It's worth a look, and go and have a look at that BFI Young Audiences Fund. I will.
And it's great to cyber meet you.
It's very nice to see you. Right.
All right, thank you.
Lovely, thank you for your question. Okie dokie. Where are we up to? I'm gonna go across to page 2. So I'm looking at page 2 now. Anybody want to give me a wave on page 2? Do you know if you're on page 2? I don't suppose you do you? Oh, some of you are. Oh, have you got a question? Just give us a wave. Okay, Joanna, you're on page 2. There we go. How are you doing?
Hi, hello. So I just had to figure out how to unmute myself. I was just wondering, so you were saying with like researching people and the right people to research in the industry, what type of people do you look for? Is it casting directors, producers, directors? What type of the people do you think to look for?
Right. So there aren't, to my knowledge, specific casting directors that just do children. So casting directors will be across the board. Generally, I say this, it's not always the time. Casting directors are not used unless it's something that's an acting role in something. Unless, I know that Aaron is on this chat as well, and I don't know if he's ever, he might be able to answer that, whether he's ever been used a casting director to be cast. But you'd more be looking at producers, the series producers. Now, the difference in all this technology, these terms, so you know, generally in organisations, they have a producer. If you're then given a series to produce, you are then given the title series producer. So you then go back to producer when you're not producing a series, if you're just hanging about. Does that?
That does, yeah.
Just to give everyone an idea. So on a programme, you might see a credit which says series producer, but they could just be a producer doing anything. And sometimes there'll be a producer. Directors more so come and go. So I'm freelance, so I'm brought in and I'm not brought in. I'm sometimes phoned up and said, they say, you know, have you got any ideas who we could cast in this? And that happens. But very often, and it is a power shift that's happened, I used to do much more directing and producing, and now I'm either a producer or a director. And so that producer is more powerful. Sometimes it is a production manager is worth looking at or contacting. They're very influential. They are in charge of the entire budget and the sort of the whole way it's shot for the best economic value, I would say. That's probably the best person to contact.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right.
And, you know, if you guys haven't got like LinkedIn, has everybody got LinkedIn and things like that? You'll find loads of people in the industry are on LinkedIn. And in fact, there's loads of presenter jobs that come up on LinkedIn as well. So, you know, getting on LinkedIn's a good idea. Okay, we've got Pratik. Here we go. I'm going to unmute you. How are you, mate?
Hello, very well, thanks, Brian. Hello, everyone. Hello, Helen.
Hello.
I just got a curious question. Have you ever had someone on your production team that you thought, oh, they look like a great presenter? And what qualities did they ever get onto in front of the screen, or is it something that you just look at presenters only?
No, you generally get a lot of people who are in the production team who want to be presenters. And sometimes they are, I mean, just on this, the new presenter of Blue Peter that has just been, just got through and obviously has only just started in the pandemic, so they're not on the programme because they're not making it in the same way. And they were an assistant producer at 5 Live Sports, I think. So somebody obviously sat there and went, oh, that person will make a good presenter. I also do know that another girl that I did a course with called Kate, she got to work on Newsround. She was part of the team. And of course, then they literally said to all the production team, does anyone want to audition to be the new presenter? That's what they did. And it only went out to them first. She mucked up her audition because she didn't look at what they wanted, which is a key lesson. But that's how they did it first. I don't know if they eventually found someone, because I think at the time, again, the pandemic has sort of hit since that happened. So I would say very much so. I wouldn't advise anyone to start being a runner on a production team and then suddenly announce I want to be a presenter.
Okay.
I would wait till you're a bit more established and then see what opportunities occur. But I do know that quite a few people, when they get to a sort of researcher level or assistant producer level, you know, they're looked at as very possible to be a presenter. Partly because also often when you're on shows like Newsround or many shows, not just in children's, you do contribute to the script. You do contribute to the content of the program. And so if you've done the research and you're an assistant producer, you'll kind of know how to do that a bit. So yeah, very definitely it is a way, and as proved by this girl who's just done it from and who's on Blue Peter.
Brilliant, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for your question. Cheers, buddy. Let's just go to our very own Aaron here, who is part of the TV Training Academy family. Hi, Aaron. It's great to see you, buddy. We don't get Aaron in half as much as we would like to because he's always off presenting. So annoying. Stop it. Come on and do more work for us. But Aaron, it's great to see you, buddy. You were mentioning about casting directors and something there. Can you just give us a recap on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of it is research. I think you have to put yourself out there a lot on different platforms, and just it's connecting with people. I think I've found some opportunities on the stage, some through Twitter, some through Facebook, and a lot of shows I find don't necessarily say what they are, but don't see that as a oh, it's just going to be a student film, or I wouldn't put too many thoughts into what things are, but just be open to opportunities. I did a really cool thing at Bournemouth University, and they paid my expenses to go down, and I filmed as a space hero. I worked with Talkback, I did some autocue, and it was great practice. And then a few months later, I was seen on a show called The Twirlywoos, and all that experience from going to the university and helping those students helped me within my audition. So I'll just be really open-minded and go for as many opportunities as you can. You're doing it because you love it. And also the people that you work with on these smaller things, you never know who they're going to be in the future. You could work with a runner, and then in the future they could be a top director, and you start to build relationships. And I just think about why you're doing it, think about what you're offering. And at the end of the day, everyone's human. Everyone wants to make some great content, make connections, and have a good time.
Aaron, can I ask, do casting directors, are they somebody to approach? That's what I'm not sure of. Do you get much through casting directors, or is it more through producers?
I think they all just vary. I think casting directors are very specific. I went for the Baby Club, and that was through a casting director that would then put you in touch with the producers, and then you passed over. Other shows, like Wild Brain, are direct with the series producer. They know what they want. They give you the content. So I think I wouldn't bombard people too much, but I'll just keep your ear to the ground with everything. And you're right, just deliver. If they say what they want in their self-tape, just deliver what they ask for.
Yeah. Anyway, great to see you, buddy. And of course, the lovely Vicky as well. Where's Vicky? She's on page 2. Vicky, you're on page 2. She's waving there. What have you got anything to add to that, Vicky? Let's because you're part of our TV training family as well. Hiya.
Well, hi everyone. Well, actually, it's kind of a funny story how we even got involved in TV training. I mean, Aaron and myself are good friends from theatre backgrounds and toured together. And it was actually Aaron who saw that Helen was doing a wonderful workshop, doing the courses that TV training do, to come and get a showreel and be a children's presenter. And both Aaron and I have always wanted to do it. So we went along and we did our one-day course with Helen. And, I sort of sent an email afterwards saying how much I loved it, because it is so worth doing, guys. If you want a good starting point for your showreel, TV training is just brilliant because it looks professional. And I know there's a lot of people saying that, oh, do you look for people without experience? If you've got that showreel, it looks like you have experience and you learn those key things that you need to do. Anyway, sideline, I'm just plugging there.
£20 in the post.
Yeah, thank you. So we met Helen, and then she sort of said, would you be interested in teaching these courses to kids? And from having, just going in and doing it ourselves, we're now working for TV training. And it's funny how your path can lead through just sort of being nice to people and making those contacts, like Aaron said. And who you meet on the way, it's really, really important just to sort of stay positive with people, keep that connection going.
Yeah.
And I know Aaron was saying about you don't want to bombard people, but it is also important to sort of keep a track. Something that I think is really important is make note of when you've emailed people. And once it's been maybe 3 months or so and there's someone that you're particularly wanting to pursue, email them again until, obviously you don't want to, again, bombard them, but yeah, sort of keeping that record of how you've contacted people and when you feel like you can then do it and introduce yourself again. Because it might just be that they're looking for something right now and they're like, oh yes, you did message me before. And they might have totally forgotten about you, but you just get that email in at the right time. Or, as Brian says, he's got a fancy little thing that you can send in the post. I'll let you explain that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Vicky. I happen to have one right here.
Over to Brian then.
No, absolutely, Vicky. I think you're absolutely right. If there's somebody who you just think is absolutely right for you, I always say write a letter, put a little USB stick in rather than an email and a link, because it's just easy to delete emails and links, isn't it? And links as well on emails. If I don't know somebody, I'm like, I don't know if I really want to click on it, and where's it going to go? Where's it going to take me? But a letter with a USB in it with your show reel is great. A letter's a great queue jumper anyway. So you get to, the first thing in the morning, if it's on my desk, there's a letter, I'm going to open it. But how about, we're presenters, aren't we? So let's say I wanted to, I'd got Helen's details and I wanted to send her my show reel. I would make a little video, just like there is self-shooting. I'd make Helen a little video. I'd look straight down the barrel and I'd go, hi, Helen, we haven't met, so I hope it's okay to contact you like this. Now, one of the things I'm really into is UFOs, and I've got a great idea for a children's UFO program. I've been working with children for X amount of time and blah, blah. So I've been trying to convince Helen of a UFO documentary for the last 10 years. But anyway, it's basically you deliver your covering letter to whoever it is, Helen Sheppard or whatever, or Mrs. Jones, and then you put it on one of these little beauties, pop it in a bubble wrap envelope and send it to the person. And when they open it and they go, hello, what's going on here? Hello, Mrs. Jones, we haven't met, so I do hope it's okay to contact you like this. Okay, so that's the little covering message, and then after that your show reel plays. Now that is how you start to stand out. That is how you start. They'll go, oh, I remember that person. And the thing is, the way to look at this is not that you're going to write to somebody once and ask for a job. It's about building a relationship as much as you possibly can, being on the radar. And just as Vicky says, when they're looking for somebody, if you're still on that radar because they've only had one of those in a week before or a week after or a letter or whatever it might have been, then you'll find you get a bit of luck. If you sit at home looking at Star Now, moaning about stuff and eating pizza, you don't get any luck, funnily enough. So yeah, it's about doing things like that and getting yourself out there and building relationships rather than asking for jobs. I think that's one of the big differences from when I started. We just used to send a TV out and ask for a job. But now I think you've just got to start being on the radar, and people have got to know of you, and being an expert in your field, being known for the person that does that or does this or whatever it might be, and making your own content on YouTube, putting it up. Now, Helen, did you look for, or you knew of somebody who was looking for a certain type of presenters, and they actually found them on YouTube once? Was that?
Several times you do that. I mean, one example is they wanted a comedy trio for a program they were doing, so they literally typed into YouTube comedy trios for children, and there was one, and so they got the job basically. I mean, they had to audition, but they got the job. So that's why I always stress this thing about look at what other people are doing and don't do exactly the same, because you need to be unique. You need to, I am right here, it's the kind of keywords you put in. Because if you imagine that everyone is searching around, and particularly more so now for content, for people, from ITV, from BBC, they're all looking at YouTube to see what's happening. If your things, keywords come up that are a link to what they're searching for, then you're going to be seen more than someone else. So I think keywording comes into everything, to be honest.
Yeah. And just
go on.
Sorry, Helen. No, I was just going to add on to something that was said earlier about doing stuff and getting involved. I think Aaron was talking about just doing student stuff and getting involved in projects. We're starting a little project for children at the moment. We are doing a series of activities that are presented via Zoom. There is no budget, I'll be honest with you, because obviously our office is closed and we're not actually running courses, but we are going to try and get this off the ground. So if anybody wants to be involved in that, then there is a little bit of opportunity to get some experience, and who knows, Helen Sheppard might be popping her head round the corner once in a while and having a little look. And again, it's just building those relationships as opportunities. And if you are in lockdown and stuck, why not? It may cause a bit of luck, but as I said, sitting and watching Netflix with a pizza, you're not going to get much luck from that. Okay. Mind you, I have been doing quite a lot of that over the last 6 weeks, but that's not all I've been doing. I've been doing other stuff. Ruth, I saw you waving. Did you have a question? Let me just unmute you there. Lovely.
Sorry, I'm so used to unmuting everybody else, but I just kind of automatically didn't and realised I couldn't.
That's okay. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much to you, and thank you so much, Helen. Yeah, I was trying to formulate my question actually. I do storytelling in theatre, and I just wanted to ask, really, kind of, is that the sort of thing which would fit anywhere? I mean, it tends to be for early years, for younger children, and also as an addition to that, I know in a previous Q&A we were talking about kind of experts, and is there a sort of element within children's presenting of having experts, and is that something that producers and directors will look for in that way? Does that make sense?
Right now, because the BBC probably sort of said this and probably then shocked itself, they are running the biggest education programme in the country on BBC Bite Size. And as you can see, it's, I don't know if you've ever looked at it or you've been on it, but it is being presented by a complete mixture of experts, celebrities, just incredible people coming together. Every producer at the moment that is free, and that's quite a few of them, have been put onto BBC Bite Size and to create content, and it's eating it. Because if you're trying to provide this programme for years 0 basically to 18, it's massive. So I think they're using experts in every area. It's worth looking at. The biggest, in terms of CBBS, the biggest storytelling area is obviously their story time that they do have. They are tending to use quite a few celebrities. Like, they love putting Tom Hardy on because he seems to be happy with the mums, seem to like him. I don't know what the children make of him, but the mums like him. So there is that element. It's, again, sorry to not know, but I'd have to look across the board at all the stuff and what's going on to see. I think probably BBC Bite Size is the biggest thing to look at the moment, to see, because educational television I used to do quite a lot of, and then it sort of disappeared quite a bit, because Channel 4 did education and so did the BBC, and now it's coming back again because people are needing it more than ever. So I would look into that. There is also a thing called BBC Teach, which does quite a bit of stuff as well, to do with education and stories and so on. But again, I don't know an awful lot about that. A lot of it's online. That kind of stuff is online. There is a lot of online content with the BBC. So I'd have a look at that.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Ruth. Nice to see you again. Just to reiterate as well, I can see there's like loads of hashtags and stuff like that, so you're keeping in touch and stuff. There's also the forums in the members area on TV presenter training, and there's showreel forums and all those, and it's free. Why wouldn't you? And you can upload stuff and we have a look at it and questions and answers and all sorts. So go and join that forum based madness. What have we got? Ian, let's unmute you there, buddy, if I can.
What's that?
Ah, there you go. How you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm okay.
Good.
I haven't really had, my hair's still growing longer because I haven't been able to go to the hairdressers, and my quarantine beard growing.
It's looking good, mate. I like the look. That's what I'm aiming at. I'm right behind you, mate.
Yeah. I've mostly got experience in musical theatre and pantomime acting over the past 5 years. I mean, our last show got cancelled because of which is a serious bummer. And though I don't have any like experience in like acting for screen, is still like the experience I do have, is that still like beneficial?
Yes. I won't just say yes, because that would be rather rude. Of course, it's definitely beneficial. Obviously, there is a bit of a difference between doing a panto or a performance on a stage and then doing it again, doing sort of drama on the television. It is slightly different. It's not to say you can't learn it, you just got to learn to contain it a bit more. Unless, of course, and here's where the difference is, some of the shows, I mean, obviously CBeebies do their own panto, which they film in a theatre, so it's done before a theatre audience. And something like Justin's House is done before an audience, so there's a certain amount of performance in that anyway. But in a lot of, say, the drama stuff, you would have to contain it a bit. But having said that, if you're a performer and you take direction well, as a director, that's important, and you listen to what people are saying, then there's no reason why you can't contain it. If I mean, that's a good way to get into children's, is to get into the dramas or I mean, Swashbuckle isn't really a drama, it's a game show, but it's got actors in it. They are actors who play the pirates, and again, their performance is quite big, but it isn't as big as if they were in a theatre, to be honest. So and not I think it's better that someone has performance experience to use and then contain that than they've no experience and you've got to get the performance out of them. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Super. Thanks for your question, buddy. Good luck. Okay, where are we up to? Who else has got a question for Helen? Anyone? Okay, here we go. So this is Alami. Yeah. How do you say your name? Alami? Alani.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. I just had a question for Helen. I have a little bit of experience in voice acting, but nothing television. This is all very new to me. Yeah. And I was wondering if you've like almost scouted CBeebies radio or similar, or do you see anybody transition from radio into television?
Yeah, Justin Fletcher started on voiceovers. And he's now the king of children's television. So he was, that's what he did. He did voiceovers, did cartoon characters when he started. So yeah, of course you can, I mean, having the radio, what are you doing at the moment radio wise?
I do a lot for BBC local radio, but I used to do CBeebies radio.
Right, used to do CBeebies radio. And Chris Jarvis has just started a thing called Little Radio. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I did actually.
So Chris Jarvis, who used to present Show Me, and he used to be in CBeebies Press, he's just started, I think because CBeebies Radio went, he started a thing called Little Radio. And he's actually working with CBeebies at the moment on doing some different projects during this time because, quite frankly, radio's really good at the moment. Yeah. Because obviously we can't really make anything very easily in children's, although they still are making some things, mostly from home, people at home, but radio is building. So it would be worth looking at Chris's Little Radio just to get him involved with that. But I don't see why you couldn't make a transition, not at all. Again, it would be good to get yourself a show reel or and do some practice. I mean, I'm not telling you to go on a course, but I don't know what you presentate, but it'd be good to have some practice at presenting and certainly make a show reel. But yeah, radio is a really brilliant way to get into television anyway. It's a good way to learn to make content, to talk. You know, being a radio person, you know, you have to sort of keep talking and you have to learn a discipline of time and being able to get to this point at this point and do all these different things. And I think it's a great discipline, personally.
Lovely, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your question. Let's go over. Dominic has got his hand up, so I am going to unmute Dominic if I can. Let's have a look. Where is he? Oh, there we go. I heard something. Where are you, Dominic? He's gone again. Where's he? I heard him for a minute, and then. Okay. Where are you?
I'm here. I'm a girl. Hello.
Dominique.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much for today, first of all. But I just wanted to ask, do you think it's worth getting a specific agent to get into the acting side or presenting side of things, or can you do it alone?
Oh, right. I'm going to pull Aaron in again and this. I mean, I don't think, at first, I think you have to do it alone. That's my personal opinion. I'll see if they nod. I think first you've got to do it alone because, and I don't know what stage you're at, so forgive me, you might be doing loads of stuff already, but an agent's going to want to see something, and whether that's theatre performance, they're going to want to have seen you in things, or they're going to want to have seen some content in television. So it'll be hard to get an agent without having done that stuff. So at first, I think you have to go it alone. For me, the time to get an agent, if you want one, obviously, is when you're too busy to do stuff yourself. And I mean, agents are very good for negotiating money, I would say. That's quite good. Yeah. They're quite good for negotiating sticky contracts. I don't know that many agents who are particularly good at getting you work.
Okay.
They're quite useful. Say a job comes through Spotlight, maybe they can, or jobs are coming to them. So if they're a good agent that people are actually saying, right, have you got anybody that could do this? Then they're worth their weight in gold. They're brilliant. But at first, I think, as Aaron and Vicky pointed out, you've got to sort of make those connections yourself as much as is feasibly possible. And that's either in drama, sort of the more performance side of things, or presenting. And then as you get busier, you know, as people get busy, they attract agents as well. So some agent might come and say, oh, God, see, Dominique's doing really well. I'm going to go and I want to represent her. So sort of that can happen. Yeah, that would be my view.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
You're
Really
welcome. It's good to, thanks for your question. And sorry, Dominic, you're clearly a lady.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for noticing.
Okay, where are we up to here? Anybody else got any questions for Helen? Let's go along. Oh, there we go. Catherine, I'll unmute you. How are you doing? Welcome.
Hi, I'm good. Hi. So I know that we've spoken a bit already about the kind of the YouTube keywords being searchable.
Mm-hmm.
Is there also, I'm interested to know the importance in having a social media presence in all of this. I was chatting to somebody, like a friend of a friend who's a production manager, who said when they were looking for a presenter, they specifically went to someone who was more of the influencer kind of route. And I was interested to know if that's important.
Yes, well, I mean, I can answer very quickly. From my point of view, is more and more producers and TV people are looking to bring an audience with their talent if they possibly can. So if you've got 15, 20,000 followers on Instagram, then that's a massive audience that you're bringing with you. So that's attractive to any producer, executive producer. It's an immediate audience. But Helen, how important do you think it is?
I think it's a mixture. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure that the last presenter, some presenter of Milkshake, was chosen because he had followers. Can you give me a thumbs up, Aaron or Vicky? They've got a lot of followers, and I think, yeah, it was. So they did pick somebody because they wanted to draw his audience in. But having said that, they picked somebody to be a Blue Pea presenter who was working in Sports 5 Live. So I think it's a mixture. And I think on social media, the biggest thing is, Brian's probably said this before, you need your platform where your material is, and you need all your other social media to send it there, to send people there. So, I don't necessarily think you've got to do everything. I don't think you've necessarily got to do Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. You could just be Instagram. But as long as you're sending people to your main place, and don't give away all your material on Instagram. So give snippets. So you send them to YouTube to watch the rest. I think that would be my sort of preference on those things. So I think it is important, and it is important to try and build, but I don't think it precludes you if you aren't the biggest influencer in the world. Because you don't necessarily in children's want the people that are influencers.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was interested. Is it the same for children's?
Well, it was in the case of Milkshake. I think some of my friends went up, and I know one of them came back very disappointed because they were sort of doing really well. They were down to the last, I don't know if it was 3. You never know, the story changes, but they said it was down to the last 3. And the guy they picked had the most, he had so many hits on Instagram or wherever, and he was picked for that reason. I mean, if you've got 3 people that are really good, I guess you might. So that on that occasion it was, but having said that, I've seen that not happen on many other occasions for how people are chosen in children's.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think it can only help, can't it, if you have got that following and getting that content up there. But you can't get around the fact that you have to have the ability to have that confidence, that personality, that talent in front of the camera, in front of the audience, and that professionalism as well. That's got to be there, absolutely.
I would also, just to add to that particularly in the younger children's area, if anyone's interested in that, if you had a big following but it was the wrong following, then no, they would not be interested in you. So it's, you see, BBC is a very protective area, or young children's definitely is a very protective area, and Mumsnet are a strong force. I'm not sure whether it's good or evil, but they are a very strong force, and so you don't want to upset them.
Yeah, so squeaky clean is the thing. If it is children's TV, all your social media, squeaky clean. There's no exceptions. They will check it. They will go through the lot and find out. They'll find out what you've been up to. Esme, have you got your hand up there? Let's have a listen to you. How are you doing?
Hi.
How are you?
So mine's basically off what you just said. I do a lot of children's stuff already, and someone I worked with previously did a job for like a gambling type thing, and it lost him his contract with us. So I wondered to Helen, is that a thing? Because people say about keeping your social media clean, I don't mean just like, I don't know, doing dodgy things, but like, is there things you would want people to keep away from, maybe?
Well, I guess on the old gambling front, possibly, because what you basically don't want, you don't want bad news to come your way. I'm just laughing because of all the stuff that's going on at the moment in the news.
Yeah.
You don't want bad news. You generally want to keep away from it. So if a presenter in the past is been doing gambling stuff, you don't want the news to get hold of that. Nobody wants that to come up, because they don't want. Particularly, I can speak for the BBC, because it gets hammered quite a lot for doing stuff that they don't want to be hammered going, well, you have a children's presenter, but they run a gambling channel. And because the reason being is because if children follow that person and go online and then find the gambling bit, then they might, it's the wrong influence for them, really. That you don't want anything out there that you've done before that a child can't see.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how it works.
Yeah, because I think people often think it'd be like the more, I don't know, I say dodgy because I don't want to, but things that people think, I don't want to have that on social media. But my other like part of that question is with things like, with corporate work. So my agent, Brian, you know her, Karen, because I watch your time, gets a lot of corporate work, which I'm happily will do. But if you're doing a lot of corporate stuff, and I know people who do like basically only corporate stuff, does that deter people in the more like mainstream media kind of side of it, or not really?
I personally wouldn't be worried about that. I wouldn't be because you've got to earn money. It's a way of earning money. As long as that corporate stuff again is quite safe, and and if a child was to see it, it wouldn't matter. But I can't see that would be a particular problem. I wouldn't keep pushing it on my show reel. If you sent it to people, I wouldn't be sending necessarily loads of that stuff. Unless, I mean, to be fair, some corporate work can be quite fun now. It's not all tedious stuff. So it's just, don't let it dominate your show reel. But I think, no, that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Super, thank you, super. And if you want me to look at any of that dodgy stuff that you're talking about, just send it through. I'll have a look.
I'm not doing anything dodgy.
I'm joking. Okay, cheers. Faye, let's have a question from you again.
I have to be very serious. I have some stuff on my social media page that I don't want even my own children to see. And when I say that, so I'm thinking, do you go and create another page or something? I mean, it's nothing bad. I mean, I do intuitive cooking, and I do a lot of sensual stuff and grown conversation. So nothing kind of, it's not, I always try and differentiate between sensual and sexual. So it's two different things, but of course, I'm open with my children in the conversations that I have with them, but I do know that I have some friends, because I don't swear all the time, but sometimes, you know, TikTok has a way of, and I'm a big TikTok person, so there are some words that are quite colorful. So would you say that you start to sort of temper back on the kind of, that was quick.
Yes, and that's not because of anything I particularly think or so on, but if you want to get involved with the children's world, it is this world that if children, it is how it is, you know.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and
I've got 3 children, so I know.
Yeah, so just keep it separate, very separate. Yeah, and temper. Right. Yeah, definitely.
So the page that I gave you guys online is not the one I'm going to be using. I'm going to create another one.
I'm fascinated though now. I want to go and watch it.
We're all going to go and watch it. Absolutely. Right. Thank you. Thanks for your question.
Right, you're welcome.
Okay, so we've got time just for 1 or 2 more questions there. Is that Jen there with your thumb up? Let's have a listen. Jen, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Hi again, Brian and Helen.
Hi.
So my question is about, how do you go about, you have to have a license to work with children, because some presenters you make content for children and they watch it, but to actually have children on a TV show with you, so how do you go about the license?
Oh, okay. So yeah, when we work with children, we have to get them licensed. We don't have to get them licensed in the holidays. We don't have to get audiences licensed anymore, which is good news. That's just a day trip out. But if we're working with them as performers, so we have to contact, you could probably get it off the internet. PACT is an organisation, PACT. So PACT is the organisation that will probably have a page on this or some information about it. And then it involves contacting the local authority that those children are in and saying, I want to have a licence to use these children. And I'm not sure, they probably send, there's a whole paraphernalia with the forms. You get the form, you fill it in. I think you even have to go to their doctor to get them signed off. There's a sort of whole load of shenanigans to go through, but it's all on that form. And I think PACT will have something about it. And so you can say within a few days, so you can say we might use them that week. You specify the day you might use them, but I think you can now make it within a week. And I think you need to do this a few weeks beforehand, because there's so much paraphernalia to go through. So whenever we're working on a program, there are researchers that do that very job, because it is quite complex and time consuming.
Jen, was that what you meant for having children on your show to have a license, or you as a performer needing, is it a DB, a clear?
Yes, there's that. Is it a DBS check or something?
A DBS, generally, if you work with the BBC, they'll do it for you. That's very quick.
Yeah. Oh, right. So
if it's just the DBS, if it's just the DBS, the BBC will send you a thing, you do it online, and then you'll have to show your documentation to, and there's people who are document checkers all over the BBC in different parts of the country as well.
Thank you very much.
That's all
Great
right.
session, guys.
Thank you, Jen. Nice to see you again. Okay, where are we up to? And Hannah. Here's Hannah. How are you, Hannah?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
Good.
Great to see you, Brian, and nice to meet you over Zoom, Helen.
Hi.
Yeah, I asked a question earlier, so sorry, I've got another one. How often would you say producers kind of look for new talent and presenters? And when they do, would you say they kind of approach agents first, or do they kind of go to the social media? How kind of does it work?
That's a mystery even to me. But they do all of those. They literally do all of those. So as I think Aaron sort of touched on earlier, so people that sometimes it's literally they send an email round to anybody they know saying, do you know anybody? That is literally how it happens. Other times it will go through Spotlight. I think BBC Development sent one out. They sent out a couple of things where they wanted to have a presenter through Spotlight. Other times they might put a competition that say on YouTube, do as a piece to camera, and I think that's how they did a Blueprint presenter quite a long time ago. And that's why, I mean, it literally, sometimes they will contact an agent for a specific casting and say, we're looking for somebody of this age to do this. That happens too. It's sort of, even I can't follow quite how they do it. And that's why one of the best questions you can ask a production company is, or the BBC is, how do you choose your presenters? You know, I'm interested, but I didn't know how you went about choosing or selecting. So that is a very genuine question. And that's why it's good to follow, you know, all the major broadcasters. So go on the BBC website and follow, get what they call notifications.
Yeah.
As Brian often says, put into even Indeed or something, or into LinkedIn, put in a search presenters, so that every time you'll get a notification of when a presenter roles come up. There are quite a few on LinkedIn. Some come through Star Now, some come through Presenter Promotions. There is this thing on Facebook I follow, which is Film and TV Casting. Sometimes it's just people that they want to, like members of the public, they want to join in with the program. Sometimes they actually are advertising for a presenter. So it's kind of this, that's why it's such a tricky, hard-working business, to keep your eye on the ball over all these things. I mean, I didn't even know they were looking for a new Blue Peter presenter, so that's why I was shocked when she'd come from sport. I was great, but it was just another way to find somebody. So there's no, am I right, Aaron, Vicky? There's no sort of one way that people kind of put this out. It varies so much. Definitely. But indeed, approaching agents is one of them. But also a top tip, if you do have an agent, get that agent on a list with the BBC or with children, so that they are one of the agents they go to, because they do have their favoured agents. And not everybody is on that list that is notified. So it's really important to sort of chivvy your agent to get in the face of the children's departments as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Helen. I appreciate it.
Good to see you, Hannah. How's that gambling habit?
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I have to say, Hannah and I have worked together. We launched a channel for Virgin, which was casino based. So it just made me giggle when we were talking about that earlier.
Me too, but it's all good because it's not on my social media. I'm not gonna lie. It was a great experience presenting live. It really was. But yeah, that's kind of in the past now.
Yeah,
but all good. Great to see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Lovely to see you. Okay, where are we up to? Got time for a few more. Anyone who hasn't asked a question yet? You want to wave? Anyone? There we go. So we got Rachel. Oh, where's she gone? Rachel. Let me unmute you. I don't think. There we go. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Nice to see you.
And you. So yeah, I just wanted to say first of all, I would love to help out with the Zoom calls if that opportunity is available.
Okay, yeah, anybody who wants to do that, if you email info@tvtraining.org.uk, I think it's that.
Okay.
You're probably best off going to the website actually and just emailing that.
Okay.
And then what I can do is I can keep an eye on those. The office is closed at the moment, so people aren't getting their emails. But what I can do is keep an eye on them and then just ping across to Gemma, who's running this project, that the people who are interested. So go to that. It'll be easy. Yeah, do that.
Great, thank you. And then second of all, I just wanted to ask, is there a particular thing that you think really helps the presenter to translate across the screen and really connect with the audience?
I think it's that genuine nature, that warmth that's got to come through, and that means you've got to really believe. It's being able to, when you're talking to a camera, you've really got to feel like you're talking to someone, a person. It's got to be that sort of. When I say intimate, I don't mean intimate, but I just mean they've got to feel like you're really talking to them as that person, just a kind of casual conversation. So the more that you can be that kind of relaxed, warm, content person that's just having a chat, but with a little bit more energy. It's not having a chat where you're not really concentrating. It's a sort of chat where an inspiring chat, if you imagine, and that is the biggest quality, I think, that
okay. So you've got to really believe in what you're saying.
Totally. And that doesn't mean you have to. I mean, presenters have to talk about all sorts of things that they don't give a monkeys about, but they have to believe in it. And I've worked with Kate Humble a couple of times, and I remember she had to do. She was doing a dogs program with us, so she was talking about dogs, and animals, which is her thing. She loves that. The day before, she was doing airports live. And she had to sort of wax lyrical about, airports and airplanes. Well, it's not her thing, but she managed to be very convincing and warm about it, So it's learning to love your topic, whatever that is.
Right. Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful.
Thanks, Rachel. We do cover all of these things on our training when we are training. All that sort of performance technique is done. So we've got time for just one or two more. So just before we start wrapping things up here, there are a number of things, and Helen has very kindly offered one-to-ones, which you can see on our website, tvtrainingacademy.com, the homepage. One-to-ones with Helen at an unbelievable smackdown price. Just silly. An hour with a BAFTA-winning 2 RTA, 7 BAFTA nominations, and she knows me. And you can get an hour with Helen for, I think it's £50, £49. So if you want some personal guidance, some personal looking at your stuff, looking at where you should be taking it and all of that stuff, then that's available on tvtrainingacademy.com. There's the link down there, one-to-one with Helen. There's a couple of other bits that we're doing as well. There's the online diploma, and then we shall be back running courses, hopefully, before too long. So keep your eyes on there, because all this talent, all this natural of communication, letting your personality out, that's key. It really is key. You have to get away from that anxious, awkward, I feel like I'm winging it, and then just be able to focus on doing the job, focused on doing what you enjoy without any of those concerns or worries. And that's really what we help you do, as well as making show reels, as well as giving you some tips and ideas of where to go. But the members area as well, check that out. So let me have a look. So, there's Joanna. Let's have a look. How are you, Joanna? Hello, welcome back.
Hello, me again. Me again. Another quick question about the show reels. So when you're doing like presenting, would you email a presenting show reel with no acting on, or would you send one that has acting on and a bit of presenting? What would you suggest is the best?
If the role was a very, very specific presenting role, I would do presenting. If the role was, it's quite difficult because some roles you're not quite sure if they are. But if the role was more of a presenting sort of / performance one, I might put a bit of both on. So it's that thing of very much looking about what is it. Sometimes these things when they put out a brief are a bit vague, and you can always ring and ask for clarification. But look very carefully at that brief and try and figure it out what kind of thing they're looking for. That's that thing about being as specific as you can. So that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And anyone who's got a last question? Anyone? I am just having a look, going through the pages. Is that Becca? Becca, you got a question for us? Let's see if I can unmute you and you might be able to say something. There we go. You're unmuted. Hi, Becca.
Can you actually hear me? Because I've actually
Yes.
got my microphone set up this time.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Does it sound
bizarre.
okay?
It's a little bit low,
Brilliant.
but it's fine.
I'm obviously starting out. I've got no experience with TV presenting whatsoever, or talking into a camera really. I've got so much experience with children, but I'm at a crossroads in my life at the moment where I want to do something different. And this has come up, perfect timing. And I just don't really know what I'm doing with a show reel or anything like that. I mean, I don't really know what I'm putting on it. I don't really know how to actually really make one or anything like that. So I'm a bit stuck at the moment.
It's a difficult one when you're changing industries, but it's not impossible. I would say the first thing is that we have a little saying when you're starting to get your YouTube channels and your stuff up there, it's go ugly early. And I'm not talking about anything apart from you will make mistakes. It will be wrong. It's not going to be right. But the thing is with show reels, the thing is with these things is it's never perfect, ever. And this is the thing, as performers, we all have little egos sometimes, or even just as human beings, we all like to put the best. It's almost like a photograph, a show reel. You send your photo out to somebody and your friends and family, they might go, oh yeah, we love that photo. And you go, oh, I hate it. Oh, I think that's awful of me. But your friends, how many people have ever sort of had that experience where a really close friend goes, oh no, I love it. I think that's great. And it's the same with your show reel. The important thing is to get a YouTube channel up, get an idea which is yours that Helen's been, mentioned earlier on, and get it up there. Okay. Because at that point, you're probably going to be lucky to get 10 views. Well, that's okay at that point. You only want 10 views. And then start building, because that will build your confidence, that will build your professionalism. Have a look at the website again, the equipment for self-shooting, those PDFs. You can see how to shoot properly with whatever equipment you've got. Make the best of it and just come up with some ideas and be creative. It's not one of those things where you're going to, put a CV or a show reel together in a month's time, you're going to send that out and get a job. It's 1 in a million. It's 1 in a million. The people who are successful at this are the people who are in it for the long run. They know that they're in it for the long run, and they constantly work at it, building little tweak here, little tweak there. That's a little bit better this time. That's slightly better this time. And they build it and they never give up, and they keep going and they keep going and they keep going. Now, of course, I'm going to say we've got courses that can help you. And when we're back up and running, just keep an eye on that website. But during lockdown, you can just start your YouTube channel. That's what I would say. Helen, what would you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think you've just got, it's trial and error. So you've got to try a few things out. And because we're in this situation where we're in, you've almost got to be your critic. And if you're living with anyone, I can see you living with somebody there.
That's my son. He's autistic, bless him. He's anxious because he wants me to start something at a particular time, and I'm a little bit running over, and I've told him.
Yeah, that's okay. And I just think if you're living with people, then they can also be quite good at giving you comments and feedback on what you're doing. So I think it is following your instincts about, who you are, what you're about. Maybe do something. Is it your son?
That's my son.
Yeah.
I have been doing stuff with my children because obviously we're in this situation, and obviously with you have to get so much permission now from parents to have them in videos and stuff. I know all about that because I've been working in schools for years. But I've been starting to put things up of videos like I've done with my children. Like I've done a bit of cooking with my children. I've done a bit of yesterday, believe it or not, we did a bit of dancing together because I'm trying to teach them to do a few moves and things like that. So is that the kind of stuff that you'd like to see, sort of like on a show reel with the children as well, or just?
Yeah, I so much of children's television is working with children and having children there. So if you're doing stuff, I mean, I will always say that it needs, at some point you'll need to do a piece to camera, which is just you. And again, think about your background. Go on to those filming guidelines that are on TV training, so you have a look at that. But look at your background, what's it like? But also, if you're doing stuff with children, that's all part and parcel of the children's television. So yes.
I'm also trying to do writing as well. So I'm actually doing a writing course at the moment as well.
Right.
I know that Brian's got a course on presenting that I've seen. Is it worth doing something like that?
Yes. If you're coming from a standing start,
literally coming in from
absolutely. I think it would really help. It would give you a sort of background of the kinds of things you need to do and the pros. I think that would really help, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
Well, listen, guys, that is all we have time for today. So really, I just have to say a massive, massive thank you to Helen Sheppard, BAFTA-winning director. Let's give her a clap there, virtual round of applause. Absolutely super. Thank you so much, Helen. Really appreciate that. Once again, if you join the members area, you know, put your questions in the forums and all that. We can keep in touch. You're part of the TV training family. You lucky people. And Helen's always around. Helen's in and out all the time with us here at TV training. So keep in touch. Let us know how you get on. Join the forum and good luck with it. It's really nice to see you all. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks again, Helen. Really, really nice. Thank you.
Been fab.
Like that BAFTA. It's cool. Can I borrow it?
Of course, Brian. Of course.
Are you allowed to borrow a BAFTA? I don't know. No. Okay. Easy as that. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I'm signing off now. We're going. Cheers.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye now.